It's almost 6 years since I took a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Japan. I was there with the European Demolition Association as part of a fact-finding mission. Now, I realise that fact-finding mission is often just a posh way of saying jolly boys outing, but this actually was the real deal. It was designed to expose European demolition contractors to the cultural, procedural, and equipment nuances of the Japanese demolition industry, and even my untrained eye was opened. There were the obvious differences, of course: massive attachments designed to tackle huge earthquake-resistant foundations, the fact that many of the machines were driven by women, and that they all wore pristine navy blue overalls with high-vis white reflective strips, topped off with hard hats that all featured a chin strap, and they all wore the chin strap too. There were more subtle differences too. I was particularly taken with the widespread use of mini track-mounted cranes to lift dust suppression units to precisely where they were needed. I'd be astounded if any of my fellow delegates on that trip didn't return having seen or learned something new that might be applied to their business here in Europe. And I was reminded of that during a recent trip to the Netherlands, a country where it's just a few miles up the road, but it is light years ahead in its adoption of electric equipment. And it left me wondering, have any UK contractors or plant hirers hopped over to Holland to figure out how our clog-wearing cousins are doing something that we're still debating? 2025 marks the year that Swedish tilt rotator and quick coupler manufacturer Steelwrist celebrates its 20th anniversary. That means that those clever Swedes and their Nordic neighbours were embracing tilt rotators and quick couplers about a decade before us Brits. And these are not just isolated examples. Why is it that every self-respecting house building site on the continent has a small self-erecting crane, while we insist on having multiple telehandlers dashing about the place? Why is it that Americans so love their compact track loaders when you can hardly give them away here in the UK? Why do Brits sneer in derision at compact wheel loaders while our opposite numbers in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Belgium, and the Netherlands all swear by them? Now, in the interest of balance, this isn't one-way traffic. I was roaming the aisles of ConExpo in Las Vegas a few years ago when I was stopped by Ricky Webb of East Coast Demolition. He recognised me because he's an avid reader of demolition news. But he doesn't read it for my good looks or my incisive way with an adjective. He reads it because he admires how British demolition contractors go about their business. However, and here's the thing, reading demolition news, visiting Bauma, ConExpo or Intermat, or taking a trip to the factory of an overseas equipment manufacturer is fine. But they show you how a thing is being done, not why. Those trips, they lack context. Here in the UK, we scratch our collective heads and wonder why our European counterparts are so enamoured with wheeled excavators. Hop over to France, however, and you see them on the road, travelling often at very high speeds between sites, between towns, and between municipalities. Based on that alone, it's easy to understand the Europeans' love of the rubber duck. There's a lesson to be learned here. It's true that the internet has shrunk the world. With just a few mouse clicks, you can quickly see what types of pulverizers are being used on Japanese demolition sites, what type of self-erecting cranes are doing the heavy lifting on a German house building site, why compact track loaders get our American cousins all hot under their blue collars. But the search will show you the what, the where, and the how. But it doesn't and it cannot show you the why. To understand the why, you need to be there, to see it in person, to understand the nuances and the history, and quite possibly to experience firsthand the shape of things to come. If you'd had the foresight to embrace tilt rotators back when Steelwrist burst onto the scene, you'd probably be a very wealthy person today. But Steelwrist, tilt rotators and quick couplers are not unique. There will be dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of innovations out there in some far-flung land just waiting to be discovered. So against that background, the most valuable piece of equipment you own is maybe not the machine you're sat in. It might just be your passport.